give you about 30 seconds to grab a pen and paper or a Google Doc, take some notes because today's going to be important. Do you have a marketing plan? How good is your marketing plan? We're going to talk about that today. If you don't have one, you're going to figure out how to create a marketing plan today. Let's go. All right, so where should we start? Well, here's where I'd like to start. I'd like to start with a couple current events every morning. Let's just and how do I decide what's current? Well, I'll look at what's popular. I like Reddit because Reddit's even though Reddit might be left leaning, it's even it's everybody. So it's got the right, it's got the left. So what do we got today? Giuliani sued for 1.3 billion by Dominion Voting Systems. Just that's just a huge amount to get sued for. I wouldn't want to be sued for that much money. Looks like bankruptcy might be in the near future for somebody. The first dogs have arrived. Now that's actually the most exciting thing of the entire year. Like I would rather watch pictures of that dog play fetch than listen to politics all year long. All right, enough about that. Enough about news. Enough about politics. Why do we want to create a marketing plan? Well, let's not answer that question because I think that's and by the way, I've been shot up into space and I'm floating around in my spacecraft with a nice view of Earth today. And so I've left Earth. I've given up on you guys. And before I leave orbit, I want to leave you with how to create a marketing plan. All right. And so I think everybody knows that they need one, sort of in the same way that they need a workout plan, right? It's like, all right, I'm ready to go to the gym. I got the motivation, ready to go. But you know what? I have no idea what to do. Same thing with entrepreneurs, startups, business owners. All right, we're ready to go. We got a good service or a product. We're ready to sell it. We got a good price. We got our supplier and our manufacturing. And all right, what do? We know there's like a Facebook and a website and a blog. We know we're supposed to do some of these things. Kind of like you go to the gym, you see the weights. Oh, I'll grab a dumbbell. I'll do some curls. I see the pull-up bar. Oh, and then it's just like you're going through the motions, right? But you need the plan, right? The plan. Like if your goal is to lose 10 pounds, right, of fat and gain 10 pounds of muscle, you can't just go to the gym and, throw some fucking dumbbells around and expect to get there. Same thing with marketing. If marketing, you're like, all right, I have X amount of marketing budget, right? And I want to stretch that little budget as far as it can go, right? And realistic goals, right? Yeah, we like to be a billion-dollar company, but outside of some magic happening, right? We have X amount of marketing budget every month. We want to get X amount of new customers. We have to make sure we stay in business, and we want to grow, and we want to make sure we get a return on our marketing budget, right? We don't want to waste money. Okay, so there's things that maybe you shouldn't be doing, which are as important as the things you should be doing, right? Like, don't put 90% of your marketing budget into influencer marketing if it's not showing a return, right? Like if influencers are just wasting your fucking money and you're giving away free product or service, why? So that's what I think about that. So how do we create a marketing plan? Well, very simply, you start with the yearly, okay? Is there a thing that you only do once a year? And you can go beyond marketing here, but let's think, like what's a once a year thing? Off the top of my head, taxes, right? Taxes, and outside of that, I don't really know. So marketing plan per se might have a bonus for the salespeople or bonus for the marketing team for hitting certain sales targets. I don't know. I don't spend a lot of time on the yearly tasks. There's not a lot of like once a year tasks. Okay, then shift next, what's the next smallest division of time of the year is quarterly. Are there things you do once a quarter? Well, if you have investors, maybe you have an investor newsletter that goes out once a quarter, which is every 3 months. Okay, now we're getting somewhere, right? And you might be like, well, what does that mean? I don't have investors. Well, hypothetically, because we're just moving down the line, right, down the chain. We don't have any yearly tasks, all right, quarterly. But see, it might not be an investor. It might be a quarterly newsletter, right? A specific type of newsletter. So let's call this the investor newsletter quarterly. Well, you're like, okay, whatever, Omar, just every 3 months. Okay, but how are you tracking this? Are you doing it simply as in just, putting it on your calendar? Or are you a little bit more advanced and do you have a project management system, right? My two favorites are Asana, and if you want something more simpler, then Basecamp. You have to have a project management, some kind of system, right? And these things are free, by the way. Asana is free up until you need to pay for it. And Basecamp, I'm not familiar with what their free plan looks like nowadays. But if you don't want to use those things, simply you could just arrange your tasks in a spreadsheet just to make sure they get done. Okay, so whatever it takes, I would recommend Asana because if you want to continue listening to my videos and things, I've been on Asana for a decade now, so almost over a decade. Either way, you pick a system and you stick with it. Okay, and I've stuck with Asana for a long time for a good reason. I've started doing my tasks in spreadsheets, over 15 years ago, right? And then I started incorporating these new free softwares into my daily procedures. So you need some kind of system to organize your tasks because you can't pretend to like remember everything, right? There's no way a human can remember everything. So, okay, so quarterly, right? Maybe you got now, okay, but a lot of us don't have quarterly tasks. We're like, quarterly, can't think quarterly. Now we're getting interesting things, monthly, okay? Now we're getting into the interesting things, monthly. Now, think of everything you could do once a month. And if you haven't started writing a blog, I would put the blog here. Normally, I recommend blog on the weekly, but if you haven't started it yet, include the blog in the monthly, right? But what else can you do a month? Once a month, newsletter, okay? For the people that you have their email, everyone in your circle, right? Maybe it's like 5 people now. Maybe it's 100. Maybe it's 1,000. As you grow your email list over time, you send them an email once a month. And the reason monthly is good for that is because if you don't do it once a month, you could not keep in touch with someone, one of your contacts forever, for a long time. So once a month, I think, is enough. And then the first objection would be, well, Omar, I don't want to annoy my contacts. I don't want them to unsubscribe. The simple answer to that is a 2-word answer is fuck it. Okay? You deal with the unsubscribes, right? Because think about this. If somebody doesn't even want to hear from you, they're definitely not going to want to buy from you. Okay, so you got to think about marketing and sales in this manner. Okay, everything you say and you do and communicate is geared towards the person that is going to buy from you. Right? You think about that, right? Someone is eventually going to buy from you. So everything you're saying, email, text, whatever, web copy, you're talking to that person that's going to buy from you, really. So when I say fuck it, I really mean fuck everybody else, right? Fuck everybody else that's going to unsubscribe from you, say no to you, whatever, right? So fuck them because you're talking to the guy that's going to buy from you. Okay, so that's the point. Fuck it, okay? Send that once a month email newsletter, put it on the monthly recurring, and this is when you start to use your project management system, right? Okay, so now I have a monthly recurring task. So whether you're using a spreadsheet or whether you're using Basecamp or whether you're using Asana, now you have a task that recurs on a recurring basis. Now this one is monthly, and I don't know how the other programs work exactly, but in Asana, you can make a task, right? And then you can click a box, and then now the task disappears, right? What you can also do in Asana is schedule that task to recur monthly so that after you check it off, right? Next month, the task comes back automatically without you having to remind yourself. So that's the beauty of Asana is that, okay, say you made a reminder to write a blog this month. Okay, you still have to go write the blog. You write the blog, you click the checkbox, and then, okay, you did that task. Next month, that task automatically comes back and gets added to your to-do list. And that's the beautiful part about these programs like Asana or Basecamp, outside of using a spreadsheet, right? Because the spreadsheet, you would have to manually add that task every single month. So that's why we want to use these programs as our business becomes a little bit more complicated, right? Like if the only thing you have to do is write one blog, oh, I can remember to do that. But then you end up as a business owner or a marketing person, you have 100 other things to do. And then the most important things you might remember, and you might forget about the other things that are less important, or maybe they're very important, right? But they're just not as urgent and you forget to do them until like it feels like you're putting out a fire. That's why we want to use these programs. So weekly though, back to weekly. So if your business is like booming, and not booming in the when I mean, I shouldn't say booming. I mean, if your business is like going right a little bit beyond the startup, if you've been doing, then you could put the blog in the weekly tasks. It's actually kind of intense to do a blog weekly, because if writing the blog is the only thing you have to do, then it might be a little bit easier to get a blog out once a week. But if the blog is a thing you have to do outside of running your business, right? You say you're a one-man entrepreneur, or you're a one-person marketing person, and so you have to write the blog, you have to proof it, and do, if you don't know the information off the top of your head, you have to research it. And so even once a week, if it's on top of everything you else have to do, then it can be a little bit intense, but it's still where I would recommend. It's not impossible. If you really have to write a blog, you could write one in a couple of hours, but to make it good, you might have to spend a couple of days on it. Okay, when I mean good is like you really, let's say this blog is actually, you want this blog article itself to rank on Google, you might have to spend a little bit extra time on it, more than a couple hours. So now we move. Okay, so blog is a weekly task. What other things can we do weekly, right? We can put some social media posts in the weekly tasks, right? Make sure we post on Instagram once a week. Maybe we make sure we post on Facebook, our Facebook page, once a week. And some of those things could be just sharing the blog that we write. Okay, so then some things could become twice a week. Okay, well, and we'll address that maybe in a little bit later in this video segment. Daily. What can we do daily? So there's some daily things like what makes sense to post daily. Now, Instagram can be done daily, right? Once a day, a picture is not too much. You don't want to oversaturate your platforms. Once a day tweets, or twice a day. If you've decided to do Twitter once or twice a day, so these are once or twice a day. Daily things are things we can do every day under the marketing realm, right? Like if you're the marketing director or you're in charge of marketing, these are things under your management, or you're responsible for these items, right? Like Twitter, Instagram. So what you have to do is, whether you're doing them yourself or you've assigned them out, you need a system to make sure that they get done on the schedule. And then you can even assign these things out within Asana. You could be like, well, this person does the tweets, this person does the Instagram, and I just need the overview every day, every week, every month to make sure these things get done. And if they don't get done, I'll look at who's responsible for it and be like, oh, I'm responsible for that. Well, I need to go do that. At least you have this reminder system. And you can organize things, what's more important. So if you have only X number of hours, you knock the most important things out for the day. And so okay, you might be saying now, okay, Omar, I kind of already been doing that. Maybe I haven't been using a system like Asana. So thank you for showing me Asana. What else can you tell me? It's like I'm already doing social media, already doing blogs. Now, for me, the most helpful thing with Asana was subtasks, right? And you're like, wow, what a task? What is a subtask? A subtask is merely a list of things to do, after a certain thing has been done, right? So for example, the biggest use of subtasks I do is I do a blog subtasks, or I do blog subtasks. What that means is, okay, so you already know I think blogs are important. That's kind of my main, what content revolves around is the blog. Could be something else, right? But so let's say we've agreed that we're going to do a blog once a week. Now, what is a subtask? A subtask means every time a blog is written, then this thing happens. That is a subtask. I nest a group of tasks under the blog, right? So I'll recap this. A subtask for the blog is every time the blog is written, for example, I'll say I want to post it on the website. Okay, that's a subtask of the blog. And let's say I have someone else doing this, right? And let's say I don't want to tell them every single week what to do, right? I'm like, let's call the blog writer Steve, and I'm like, Steve, okay, you're the writer. You already know you're supposed to write a blog once a week, right? And then he's like, all right, Omar, the blog's written. What do I do now? And then I'm like, well, I want you to post it on the website. And let's say we do this every week. It's like I get tired of telling Steve to post it on the website. I'm like, Steve, we go through this every single week. It's kind of like Pinky in the Brain, right? It's like, what are we doing tonight, Brain? Well, same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try and take over the world, right? It's like, so I'm going to write down these steps one time so that the writer never has to ask me again, thereby somewhat automating the process and saving me to have to micromanage him every week. Okay, so one of those subtasks is posted on the website. Every time you write a blog, post on the website. But before that, one of my actual subtasks is include a call to action. Okay, because what you got to realize, your blogs are actually very subtle sales pieces, right? Because you at the end of the day, you're trying to sell something. Let's not hide at that. But a blog is a very subtle way to kind of capture everything you're trying to do. So somewhere in your blog, whether you're using marketing software that does it for you, or whether you manually have to put a link to your contact page, right? Contact us, buy this, buy that, go here. Okay, so some kind of action. You can't just write a blog and then leave the buyer or potential client to do something. You literally have to tell people what to do. Go here, do that, click this, give me your email, okay, sign up, download this, download free article, some kind of, so that's a subtask because I have to remind myself. If I don't tell myself, sometimes I might forget. It's very easy to forget including the call. So that's what so include the call to action. And actually, before I post it on the website, I have another one. Okay, find a featured image. You ever realize that every blog you go to on the web kind of has like a featured image? So like when you click on it on Facebook, you see the image first, and then you go to the article. Well, someone had to find that image and then load it up onto the web. So we have to find that image first. Okay, we have to put that call to action in the blog, and this is actually before we post it on the website. So post on the website, one of my recurring subtasks. So we're already at 3. We have include call to action, find the featured image, post it on the website. So we're already at 3 tasks, subtasks that you do every time that you write a blog. That happens after you finish writing it. The 4th one I have on my personal list is because I work for other people. These are other people's businesses I might be writing for, right? Have the owner approve it. So you post it. Now this is how it looks. It's got the image. You've edited the headlines and everything. You've done your grammatical check. See if the owner likes it. See if the owner wants to change anything, or whoever's in charge of whatever, right? They approve it. Check that off. That's our 4th thing. That's 4 things that we do every week. That if we didn't write it down, God, it would be a mind fuck to try to remember all these things, right? If you didn't write it down. So we got the owner to approve it. Now what do we do on the marketing channels, right? We repost this blog on all our other channels, and that might just be a few at the get-go, right? The 5th thing has subtasks from that, right? We could list it under this 5th subtask, okay? So Facebook, Twitter, maybe Reddit, maybe Quora, maybe we Instagram it somehow, okay? So you could make that one as long as all your other platforms are, okay? So let's call that the 5th one. And then there's some optional things you can do, like the Reddit and the Quora. You don't do those every time, okay? Because Reddit, you don't want to get banned from subforums for trolling. So if it's appropriate for somewhere, so you can have some optional places that don't happen. It's at your discretion. And then also 2 very important but optional things, okay, as far as marketing and content and repurposing. So I actually do have these as subtasks, and I don't do it for all of them, but it's still optional. But I have them as recurring subtasks for every blog. And this is the big kind of, I don't want to say secret sauce, but it's it kind of is the quote unquote power of repurposing your marketing, okay, is turn the blog into an infographic, further repurposing the blog that you spent hours to write. Okay, so if your blog was 10 best reasons for my blank, insert your service, right? Your infographic would be a long, you can already imagine it, an image in a headline for each 10 things that you just went over. So turn that blog into an infographic. And what do you think the next thing is? Turn that blog into a video and or podcast. And these are optional because you're not going to be doing this every week for every blog. So maybe maybe once a month you look at your best performing blogs and you'll turn those into the infographics and or video podcasts. And with that, that's simply how you create a marketing plan. Okay? You make 1, 2, 3, 4. You make 5 categories, okay? Make 5 columns: yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily. Write down the things that you want to do for each category. And the longest columns are going to be your weekly and your daily, okay? Your weekly actually is the longest column, okay? Because business sort of operates in weeks, right? Monday through Friday, and then you reset. So blogging is done once a week. And then the blog subtasks are pretty long. So every time you write a blog, you create an extra 10 things to do for yourself. So I'll leave it at that. I want to see how many people refine or start a marketing plan after watching this video. Let me know in the comments, and we'll talk about something interesting tomorrow, I guess. What is it? It's almost 9 a.m. So I went for almost 30 minutes. All right, it's Monday morning, signing off. We'll see you tomorrow, Tuesday morning. Peace out, Marketing Mondays with Omar, and